Got a question about how to deal with multiple stakeholders. This is usually when you're selling into big businesses, enterprises, governments, institutions like universities. There's a bunch of people involved. You need all their approval. It also happens occasionally with consumer apps. Like if you're building a product for babies, you need approval of both the baby as the user and the parent as the economic purchaser. So in those cases, you basically treat each of the stakeholders as a separate customer segment, and you approach each of them in the way that is best to validate their interests and needs. This doesn't always mean doing custdev for everyone. For example, if you're building the product for babies, you might custdev the parents, but give the babies a prototype and watch what they do with it. You weren't going to custdev a baby. If you were selling into enterprises, you might do custdev on the goals and the problems of management, but then lead with a prototype or product experiments or walk through paper mockups or do user testing, use the more product-centric tools for the actual frontline staff who are going to be the day-to-day users. You combine your learning tools, right? There's different modes of learning. custdev doesn't answer every question. And what you're essentially doing when you have multiple stakeholders is you're building several businesses simultaneously. It's always harder. It's always more complex. If any of those stakeholders decides that they hate the product and they refuse to pay for it, to buy it, to renew it, to use it, whatever, they start back-channeling complaints to the higher-ups. That undermines, it torpedoes your success. So each of them matters. One nice thing about selling to enterprises, though, or governments or universities or any of them, is that you get extra evidence that they care. If they're willing to tell you who the other stakeholders are, that shows that they care because that's a secret about their buying process. And they're not going to reveal that sort of internal information unless they actually want what you're selling. And if they're willing to make introductions to those people, that's an even stronger commitment. So you get a lot more validation signals, evidence, these commitments, when you do have the multiple stakeholders, because working your way through the stakeholders is a sort of strong commitment. And you can do that long before the product exists. So it's useful. It's more complex, but you get better data. So it's a bit of give and take.